Well, welcome everyone to Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game. I'm your host, Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and money color commentator. On today's show, selling your home and what you need to know, part 3 of our series on America's real estate investment with real estate expert Mike Bodine. Welcome to our third segment, Mike.
Hi, Steve.
Mike, we had our hats on in the previous segment on the buyer. Now we're the seller. We're selling our home. We talked about curb appeal on the buy side. I can't imagine there's any less value of having serious curb appeal on the sell side.
Very important, especially because interestingly enough, a lot of homes are sold. First of all, it's the internet is number one, but a lot of homes are sold by the for sale sign. Mm-hmm. People are driving by and they see the house and they go, "Oh, that's nice," and then they see the for sale sign and then they call the realtor. So, what your house looks like on the outside is very important. So you, as a seller, you want to have that thing. You want to have that drop dead gorgeous as much as possible.
So the for sale sign is quality advertising. It does advertise.
It big time. It absolutely does.
Okay, so curb appeal. Hey, we're going to have to fix the front yard. We're going to have to make it look nice, maybe in a little coat of paint, whatever. We have to beautify that first impression.
Exactly.
I would think your door, even your threshold, the things like just your first entrance has to be whoa. I mean, it just has to really be stunning.
It does. And there are a number of different things today, especially that, interestingly enough, painting a door a different color than the rest of the house is a contrast. People actually look at that. And if it's done tastefully, it's like, oh, wow. So it's the first thing that the buyers see, and it's a way to be able to get them inside the home.
Okay, I'm selling the home. I'm selling my home. Should I wait when they order the inspection if I get an offer, or should I have my own inspection so I can fix it and be proactive in my prepping my home for sale?
That's a very good question, and that one is asked often there. We wish we had more sellers that would be willing to do that beforehand, Steve, because I always think that that's a good idea. You could actually have a home inspector come through your home and do a kind of a minimal inspection, say on the moving components, the mechanicals of the home, air conditioning, heating, hot water, the plumbing, electrical. Have them do that. You could also have a roofer come by and take a look at your roof. What in Arizona here, which is going to be like a lot of places, what is so important and the big money items are your roof and your heating, air conditioning.
So HVAC and your roof are two areas. It's worth maybe doing a preemptive and coming out of pocket on this.
It is, because we've seen a lot of deals die by that home inspection, because all of a sudden it's item after item after item after item.
Doesn't look like you took care of it.
Yeah.
You didn't took pride of ownership.
And if these are the things that the inspector sees and they're not in good shape, what that he doesn't see,
right,
can be scary.
Okay, so you recommend, hey, if you can do it, you should have this looked at first and get it all up to snuff.
Well, the other reason why we do that, Steve, is because there's only in Arizona we have a 10-day period. We call it a due diligence period, and we only have 10 days after a contract is formed to be able to do our inspections and submit our repair requests to the seller. 10 days is not a lot of time. And oftentimes what happens is the home inspection comes in and has findings there. Well, now we need to call in, the buyer's agent will call in other inspectors. Well, the roof was didn't look too good, so we better call in a roofer. HVAC didn't look too good, we better call in someone there. So it's important. If those things are dealt with, then there's not going to be the pressure during the actual inspection period of trying to get a lot of those things done.
Well, I love the effect of being proactive on your sale of your home. And people coming in there and then they send their own inspector in and they go, this is taken care of. This is pretty good shape.
And most inspectors, good inspectors, they will elaborate to their buyer, to the buyer client. They will say, you know what, this house is in good shape. Yeah, we've got a problem here, and yes, there's a problem there. But in general, these people have taken care of the house. You know what? That's all buyers really want to hear. If they hear that a seller has really kind of taken care of their home, that's like,
That really helps.
Huge.
All right. Now, to stage a house or not to stage? I mean, this is a debate all the time. Talk about what is staging? What does it do?
Staging is basically beautifying your home. It's making your house appeal to the greatest number of buyers out there. And it's not real complex. In fact, most people could actually probably do a fairly good job of staging if they were to think in terms of eliminating clutter and, the more things that we can get rid of. I tell people when they're thinking about putting their house on the market, it's like, you know what, just start packing. You're selling your house, you're going to sell it, you're going to have to pack up your house. Let's get rid of all the superfluous stuff that may be a distraction to a buyer.
Give me one good example of a distraction of a superfluous thing. I have mine, but I'm interested in hearing yours. Give me one.
Personal photos.
So my whole family regimen of photos
Your
on the wall.
sweet family, Steve. Get it, take it down.
Take it down. All right.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm in shock. Why is that?
Well, because buyers go through. Steve, you've been a buyer. You go through a house and you're walking down. You see this. Oh, this nice family here. I wonder if I know anyone there. And
It's distraction.
we want people to be looking at the house. We want them to be able to envision themselves in the house,
got it.
not the owners.
Got another one? That was a nice one. That was a good one.
Well, again, I guess the big thing is too much. Is clutter.
I want to ask you about this. I noticed one house I was in recently, they have a belief system, and it's all over the place. They have a religion, and it's everywhere.
Right.
Is that? I mean, I have no problem with the personal religion. I have a problem is if I'm going to sell the house, do I need to pull that back a little?
That's a very touchy question that we do have to talk about sometimes. Only if it's really overdone. And we would just put it into the category of, again, is it too much? Is it too much clutter? I'm not going to tell somebody to take down their belief system. However, if there's too much of their belief system, again, it's just getting in the way.
How Spartan can I get before I'm going too far? I'm all right. I'm packing it up. I'm throwing things out. I am on a garage sale. I'm doing everything you're telling me to do. Could you go too Spartan on it?
Well, Steve, I think that's where we want to call in a professional.
So you actually have a pro staging person.
Well, I've been in the business for a long time that I can do that, but we call on professionals. For our clients, we will actually pay for a stager to come into the home because they're professionals. This is what they do. So we will call a professional in, and we have one, and she will go room to room, and she will write up her notes, and then when she's done, she gives a copy to me, a copy to my client there, of all her recommendations.
Is the seller paying for that, or is that embedded in the real estate deal? What is that usually?
In our case, we pay for that.
Oh, wow.
As agents do.
So that's a value. Just thinking about that value.
It is. That could be hundreds. It is hundreds of dollars.
Yes. Okay, so I've staged. I've done a pre-inspection. I don't have any gaudy colors or anything that's going to be distractive, and it's not pure white either, so it doesn't look. It looks like a hospital, right? So. Anything else, I've staged it. Now, I fear saying this. We're going to talk about this in depth next one, but the price, everybody jumps on Zillow. That's our first response, right? The consumer goes, Zillow, and they look at that number. But you're going to be sitting there with comps. You're going to go to other places in the neighborhood that have sold, and we're going to try to price that house that way. I mean, talk about that.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Zillow there. And Zillow, performs a certain service to to people. However, if someone is only relying on Zillow, you're going to be off, usually, one way or the other. You have to remember is that a realtor is looking at Zillow too. So if I'm going on a listing appointment, one of the things that I, as an agent, I'm going to do is I'm going to look at Zillow because I know a lot of my clients are looking at Zillow. So let's take a theoretical number of $450,000. Let's say Zillow says that your home is worth $450,000. So I go on Zillow and I see that. And I know that Steve, my seller, is a Zillow kind of a guy. And I know that he's probably looked at this and see that his house on Zillow is worth $450,000. Now I'm doing the comps. And it's looking like, actually, this house is probably $470,000 to $480,000.
Oh, so it could be the other way.
Maybe even 500.
So it could be the upside.
Could be. So now I'm just going down and sitting down with you. And if you say, well, Mike, Zillow says my house is worth $450, what do you think? Oh, okay, well, now we're getting into the integrity of the realtor. Because if the realtor says, that's actually a pretty good price, it'd be a pretty fair price, you may be settling on a lot less money. So it does work both ways. Usually, however, it works the other way. Usually, where Zillow or others, there are others too, may say that the house is worth more than it is. Who do you believe? Well, we take, as real estate professionals, when we are looking at the value of a home, we are doing the same thing that an appraiser does. We are looking usually within a mile of the property. We are taking comps that are similar in size. We're trying to compare, for example, a one-story home with a one-story home, a pool with a pool, those sorts of things. Ideally, in the same neighborhood, if you've got 2 or 3 comparable sales in the same neighborhood, similar floor plan there, then now you're getting very close as to what your value is. Now it's just going to be determined, well, kind of what sort of upgrades do they have in the house? Do they have, is it granite counters, or do they still have Corian counters there? Do they have wood floors, or do they have older tile floors? So there is a lot to the value.
So comps matter, upgrades matter. Zillow is a nice touring first shot, but I cannot be used as an authoritative issue when it comes to pricing as a seller. That's what I just heard you.
Well, and the other important thing about that, Steve, is another thing that we will often hear from people is it's like, well, even if we price our house higher, we can always come down. Yes, true statement, you can always come down, but it's going to cost you money. Because the longer that your house is on the market,
so there's
not selling,
that's devalued.
It is.
Wow.
And for every week that thing is on the market, you're watching the value of your house going down. That's why it's so important to be able to price it right accordingly.
Wow. Well, listen, don't forget to watch part 4 of our series on America's real estate investment, the inspection, the appraisal, and something we just talked about now, the price. And keep in mind, before moving forward with any of the ideas on our show, always consult your tax consultant, legal counsel, financial advisor, real estate agent in this case. You've been watching Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game.